like to remind all of our listeners that the opinions of individual shows or DJs do not necessarily reflect those of NBR Radio. Please keep in mind this is entertainment and intended for the listener with a sense of humor.
Portions of this program may not be suitable for those under the age of 18. Parental guidance is suggested.
The Beer30 Show with Danny and Joel, sponsored by Tee It Up for the Troops. Divots can be replaced, freedom cannot.
Alrighty. Beer30 is when you walk into a bar or a VFW, and in that 30 seconds, you can already tell.
That guy right there is drunk, that guy's an idiot, and that guy down there knows it all.
There are programs out there beyond the VA.
Many non-profit organizations. The Beer30 Show.
It's the Beer30 Show. Made by veterans.
For veterans.
I turned it off on the wrong time, but that's okay. Got it going. The only thing that I didn't add was the hey, you're listening to Beer30 Show. So it takes some getting used to, but I'm getting used to. I'm starting to, Danny. At least this is a little bit more professional, and it's going to sound a little bit better than it usually does. So, well, everybody, on the line with us today, we have Brian and Betsy, and I haven't talked to Brian and Betsy for a good 2 years. So, before we get all started, because Danny's never met you guys, tell us a little bit about yourself and the history with your you and Brian, military past, etc.
All right. Hi, guys. How you doing?
Well, we're doing super.
I'm great.
Good.
Joel doesn't let me talk, so I want to cut in real quick and say I'm doing outstanding.
Betsy doesn't let me talk either.
I know.
Yeah,
I
see,
don't let him talk to nothing.
yeah, see, Joel's
gonna let him start
Joel's like
out.
my secondary wife.
I'm gonna let him start out and see how far he can get. Sometimes he gets tired at the end of the day with his voice, but I'm gonna try and let him talk for a little bit and see how he can go. Start by with your Air Force career.
Yeah,
All right.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfect, buddy.
Hey, I went to the Air Force Academy, and I graduated in 1998. And I was in the Air Force for about 6 years after that. And I got diagnosed with cancer in 2003. It was lymphoma. I went through chemotherapy and radiation therapy, and they got my cancer out, but I was really sensitive to the radiation. And about a year after the radiation, I started having a whole lot of other problems.
Mm.
I got partial paralysis on one side and loss of feeling on the other side. And I had a lot of jaw surgeries to try and fix the damage that was done to my jaw from the radiation.
Right.
And I haven't been able to swallow since 2009. I've been eating through a feeding tube for about 7 years now.
So the good thing about Brian is that he eats real food through the feeding tube. Whatever he cooks for dinner, he blends it up in a high-end blender called a Vitamixer, and he eats meals with his family, me and his daughter Grace, and we sit down every meal. If we want to go out to dinner, he brings his blender with us to a restaurant, and they just take it in the back and put in his food and blend it up and bring it back to the table with us. So he eats very healthy. He can put, since he can't taste anything, he can put Brussels sprouts and ice cream and whatever he wants to put in there, and he eats 3 times a day, just like regular people.
Right.
It goes straight to the stomach and avoids all his swallowing.
So he's basically like on a permanent juice diet.
That's right.
See, me and my wife,
pretty much.
we've been trying this juice diet thing out for I don't know how long, and we make it through the majority of the day, but by that third time, we're like, okay, we need substance.
Yeah, it's hard because when he wants a snack, he can't just pick up an apple and eat it. He has
Yeah,
to chop it up, blend it, and then put it down his tube.
You need a feeding tube.
Yes,
yeah,
everybody needs a feeding tube. They're great.
yeah. I had an uncle who was a Vietnam vet who died of cancer a few years back, but he had one of those tubes, and he had to do the exact same thing. So I actually kind of know what you guys are talking about.
Oh, I didn't
So
even know that, Danny.
yeah, it was my uncle Donnie, my dad's
Oh.
brother, out in California.
Have I met him yet?
I don't think you ever met him. He died of cancer, I think 3 years ago, 4 years ago,
Oh, wow.
4 years ago.
We're sorry.
Yeah, I mean it was like caused by the Agent Orange out there, and my daughter is stealing my headset. I'm being attacked. If you couldn't tell, with the Godzilla toddler voice in the back. So Joel, go ahead and take it for a minute.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So just to give you a recap real quick,
You wanna say
Brian
hi?
and Betsy. So Danny is in Florida, and I am in Colorado. And people listen to this, and they can't tell that we're in different states.
Oh.
And so Danny got the privilege of staying home with the little ones today because I believe Holly, she's still active duty, so
Oh, wow.
she's still working. So it's bring daughter to work day for Danny. So we got that going on, and then I got this whole new entire system where it's more professional, records better, sounds better, everything that records internally in the computer. So,
Hey Joel,
uh,
real quick to clarify, she's not actually at work. She's on leave right now. She's in Kansas
oh,
City for a wedding, one of her best friend's weddings. And she's actually tuned into our show. I'm not sure if it's Twitch TV or MWR or
oh, okay,
MBR, but she is definitely listening right now. So,
oh, okay,
so we can't talk bad about her.
okay. We
Dang.
can't talk bad about her in this episode. We
Yeah.
won't talk about past, right, Danny?
Yeah, definitely not. We won't talk about those other episodes. Now you do know she's going to go back and listen to all of our old episodes just to find something now, right?
Now, when we left off, the one thing that I remember, the concoction that you guys made in the feeding tube, and we're gonna ask you to explain to our listeners a little bit about what traveling Tubies, the blog and stuff is about. But last time we left off, have we came up with any different colors other than green yet?
No, they're usually kind of tan.
The green is really pretty with peas and with broccoli. He's had some purple ones.
Lettuce and kale, and it's green. If I have like blueberries, then it's purple.
Okay.
It just depends on what I put in there.
Right. Well, if you haven't, tell the listeners kind of why you're in this situation. How did you get cancer? If you haven't told us already.
It's in my family. My older brother had it. My uncle had it. My great aunt had leukemia. And then I just got lymphoma on my left tonsil. I was just looking in the mirror one day and I saw that my tonsil was all swelled up. And I went to ENT, ear, nose, and throat doctor, and they took my tonsils out and did a biopsy and found it was cancerous. And then I started the treatment from there.
Okay.
We're very lucky because the cancer was very aggressive and was fast growing. So sometimes those types of cancers respond to the chemo a lot better.
Right.
And chemo was pretty easy for him. It was the radiation that got him. We had to stop it early. There's something in his DNA that made him really sensitive to it.
Mm.
This is not a typical cancer case at all. He's very, very unusual in more ways than one. So he is, it's just not a typical reaction. His radiation damage started a year after he got done with it. And it was a slow paralysis that happened. We're very lucky that it stopped where it is because he can still walk. He can still drive.
I see.
The paralysis is mostly on his left arm. He can't move his fingers or his hand or his arm, but his leg is a lot better. It's not as bad as his left arm.
Now, do they consider him having traumatic brain injury due to the cancer?
No, not at all. That's another thing we're very lucky at. He does have radiation damage in the brain.
Okay.
We had to deal with hydrocephalus, like water in the brain at some point, but they took the shunt out and he's fine now. They're always careful about that, but we're also very lucky that there's no brain damage to this cancer at all.
Awesome.
Yeah. There's damage, but I'm not symptomatic.
I see. Danny, I don't know if you knew. So Brian is he's very educated. Brian, when you got out of the service, you got out as a lieutenant colonel, didn't you?
A major.
A major. Wow. Okay, I just stripped you of some pay grade. My fault. I'm sorry.
All right.
Danny, I'll go ahead and ask you the next question unless you're having fun playing patty cake with Taylor.
Well, you got to keep her busy. She's over here just going to town. I'm showing her pictures of Brian here and his horse, and she's like, "Oh, horsey!" I'm like, "Yeah, say hi to the horsey," and But she's having fun putting my space bar where I can't talk. One of our listeners, Jeremy, says hats off to you, Brian, because he likes the way food tastes, and that'd be way too hard for him to give up. So,
yeah, and there's something I really miss. Cookies and popcorn.
Cookies and popcorn?
Yeah.
Yeah, he missed. But he can smell it, and that seems to satisfy some cravings a little bit. And if he has a craving for something, he puts it in his blend, and his brain, a little bit satisfies it.
So here's a question for you. I mean, I didn't get to ask my uncle this question. When he had surgery, he had to get his jaw removed, and he had a really aggressive throat cancer up to the tonsils and in his jawline and everything. He had it 4 different times, and it wouldn't go away. And the final time, it got him. But can you even like get any type of a taste of the food? Like maybe if you have like say you had a burp. I'm sure you have a way, but can you at least kind of taste it that way?
Yeah, I can. When I burp, I can taste it. If I throw up, I can taste it. But then it's not really very pleasant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are the 2 main ways I can taste it.
Yeah. Smelling is what is better for him. If he puts anything in his mouth, he drools a lot because all the mechanisms to swallow are damaged with him. So even his spit, he carries a towel with him all the time because even his spit goes in the towel. He cannot even get that down. It'll collect, and it'll cause pneumonia, aspiration pneumonia.
Because he's inhaling
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's real important. He sleeps on a 90-degree wedge to make sure that during the night, no liquid gets down there and he aspirates or anything.
Okay.
Wow. And you might have said, but just wondering, have you ever attempted to eat something by mouth, or is it just not wise, or you can't accomplish it?
Yeah, and I mean, I attempt to swallow my spit all the time. it kind of looks like I'm falling, but nothing goes down, and just
Oh,
it collects in one spot. Um, and for a while, I went through swallowing therapy, where the therapist would try and get me to swallow stuff with different consistencies, and nothing went down. They did an X-ray while I was swallowing, and it all gets hung up in one spot.
interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I always wondered that, Danny. I'll go ahead and let you go to the next question because I want to be sure that we ask these questions. These questions are really good that our producer drew up.
Well, I was looking over the questions. He's already answered a few of mine. So,
Yeah.
um, uh, all right. What is Vitamix and Blendtec, and which one do you use? How has this impacted your life?
They are two types of blenders. They're high-end blenders that restaurants use.
Mm.
Vitamixer is the one that we usually use because it blends up things a little bit better for us. Blendtec is like a half a step down, and we need something very powerful because he does all his food in it. It's changed our lives 100% because before all he had was um, insures and calorie drinks and formula. That's what the doctors told him when he first couldn't swallow. They said for the rest of your life, you're going to have cans of formula, 6 cans of formula for the rest of your life, every day. Every day for the rest of your life. Well, first of all, they don't taste that good. Second of all, they're full of sugar and they're really full of bad stuff. And second of all, he couldn't get 6 down a day, so he was losing a lot of weight. He could only get a half of one down before he got sick, and it would take him a long time. So we found this group on Facebook and online of people with tubes. There's thousands of them across the country, especially children who cannot eat, and they have
Around the world.
around the world, and they have feeding tubes. And the moms and dads, they feel guilty and very bad feeding their children this horrible formula stuff. It's not made for our bodies for the rest of our lives. So people decided, hey, if we get a good enough blender, we can blend up anything. So now he gets fruits and vegetables and protein and anything he wants in there. And the parents feel better about feeding their children food that they're eating. They can control it. Brian can control his weight. He adds a lot of weight on. He's healthier. He works out every single day. He has more energy. It has changed our lives amazingly.
That's good.
Awesome.
And then was he able to attend the sports clinic again this year?
No, it's going on right now.
We found out the hard way.
Yeah, we really miss it this year. We went to Germany over Christmas, so we decided to kind of take all our trip and do it there. It's hard, it was a good travel experience for us to do this in another country. It was definitely harder to blend, but we stayed over with his mom and his sister who lives in Germany, and so we decided to do that trip instead of Snowmass. But we'll probably be there next year.
Awesome. Well, we're running out of time. Danny, if you don't have any more questions, the last thing that I was going to ask them is you have a blog web address. And this was actually your question, Danny.
I do have a question, so
I'll
yeah.
shut up.
Actually, our listener Jeremy, he wanted to know if the Vitamix blends protein such as steak.
Ooh, that is a good question.
Absolutely. Yeah. It absolutely. Anything you can imagine, he can put in.
It'll do pizza, donuts, you name it. It'll blend it.
So, I do have another question for you, Brian. Can you at least like put food on your tongue to taste it, see what it tastes like?
Yeah, I mean it makes me drool a lot. But yeah, I can taste I can put stuff in my mouth and then spit it out. It just makes me drool a lot more that day, which is kind kind of a pain in the ass afterwards.
Well, actually, I was just thinking about it because if I ever get out to Joel and you guys are in the area, I just have to cook steak, but you'd have to taste it to know how good it was.
Well, I would do that. I would do that for you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. So, as Joel was saying, if you want to go ahead and tell us about your blog and where people can find that at, go ahead and do so.
Yeah.
My Brian writes very well. I keep on telling him he should write a book about his experiences. We've gone through quite a lot, and he writes this funny blog called The Traveling Tubie, TRAVELING, Tubie, TUBIE.blogspot.com. Is that a dot or at?
No.
.blogspot.com, Traveling Tubie, and it's really. And he writes about his experiences, some clogs he gets, restaurants that we've been to, reviews on restaurants, how well they treat us, about our daughter, our ventures of our daughter, and the trips we take, and how open we are about eating through a tube, and his disabilities, and how open we are to taking questions, and we don't not mind at all when people ask us anything about his condition. And how active we are, even though he eats through a tube.
All right. Awesome. Very, very, very awesome. Danny, if you have nothing more, I was going to close out with them and tell you that, Brian, it's only been 2 years, but you and Betsy still inspire me. I think I speak for everyone when I say that sometimes when you're having a bad day, you forget the little things to appreciate. And Brian is an example of that. You know, a lot of us, we take advantage of the opportunity to be able to taste our food, to, you know, chew it and stuff like that. So, yeah, you're an inspiration, Brian. You really are. You have been. And every single time that I have a bad day, I always think of you, because I'm like, you know, if Brian can do this, then I can get through this. So I just wanted you to know that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, there's a lot of stories. I'm sure you talked to a lot of wounded veterans, and they're even more inspiring than I am, I think. But no, I appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, Danny, if you have nothing further, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go on commercial. Brian, we're gonna hold you over just for a moment. I gotta get a sound bite from you. I forgot to get it, and then after that, then we will talk to you real soon. So, everybody. When we come back, we are going to find out an art of something today. It's the segment of Clear the Air. We're going to find out exactly what Danny has to rant about today as well. So, everybody, do not go away. Stay with us.
This is MBR, saluting those who have made the ultimate sacrifice for their country.
Rock and roll!
We'll ride if you wanna rock and roll. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. Rocking the troops.